Good morning, Illini. Welcome back to another Healthy Illini podcast. I am your host, as always, Matt Schrock. Hope you're doing well and hope you're enjoying your summer, getting into some outdoor activities. And that's one of the things we want to talk about today is not necessarily an outdoor activity, but something that people often think of when they're outdoors, and that is gardening and plants and flowers. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how you can get involved in that today. I am joined today by Joey Hartz. He is a very recent graduate of the University of Illinois, got his bachelor's in information sciences, but he is also the co-founder of Grow to Give, co-founder with Sydney Kurtz. But let's just start there, Joey. First, I want to say thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
But let's start with that. Grow to Give, that is an RSO, a registered student organization here at UIUC. But let's just talk about what that is, because honestly, I don't know a whole lot about it either, so I want to learn as well. What is Grow to Give?
Yeah, so Grow to Give is an organization. Sydney Kurtz is our primary founder. She's our president for the past 2 years, and we've passed on those torches since. But yeah, it was founded in March of 2021, and it was really born out of the pandemic, like many things were. And so, finding a way to bring people back together. Obviously, things were still, there was cautionary things in place, and there wasn't a whole lot to do. But one of the safest things to do was be outside, and so we just felt like, why not? Everybody that was involved or involved from the very beginning really enjoyed gardening, really enjoyed being outside, and so we just thought, what better way than to bring people together than to bring them together outside where it's safe to do so. And we can, make the community a better place by creating more green space on campus and growing produce that we could donate back to those who need it the most.
I want to come back to how the RSO functions, but not quite yet, because I want to tap into that idea that it got founded on the premise of a way to bring people together. Why is gardening that way? I mean, what about gardening, whether it be plants or whether it be food or flowers, what about that activity does create an opportunity and a sense of community?
Yeah. I really think it's, people are interested in creating things, but not everybody knows how to do it. And I think a lot of people look at gardening as a very challenging thing to do. They don't necessarily associate it with something that's easy. They say, maybe I don't have the, a green thumb. And so to be able to, bring people together and not only teach them something new, but then also get them involved with people throughout the community who are already gardening, already doing these sorts of things. Really just, I think whenever you bring people somewhere and help them learn about something that, they're interested in, maybe they're passionate about, but have never been able to do before, you can't build a stronger community any other way than that. I truly believe that.
And there is, I mean, you said somebody who doesn't have a green thumb, and I raised my hand. You couldn't see if you're listening, but I raised my hand because I do not have a green thumb. I'm very good at killing off plants, actually. But there are some things that I've found that I enjoy with gardening. I have a garden of my own at home that my kids enjoy. And so there is something a little bit for everybody. I know people who are very proficient at it and very good, and whatever they touch seems to just grow miraculously. And then there's others on my end that are just kind of hoping something lives through the summer. But there is an opportunity to be involved because there's such a grand spectrum of types of plants, of types of gardens, of types of activities with that. But before we go too deep into that part of it, it was interesting to me that this came out of the pandemic and you wanted to find community together. But did you find that just gardening itself, just the activity, was something that helped your mental health through that time, especially coming out of the pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, through COVID, we were all just glued to our computers. That was like our only form of socialization. It's where we did all of our classes. I felt like I was on Zoom probably 8 out of, every hour in the day and whatever. And so, yeah, of course. I mean, it was just an opportunity to detach from what seemed like a really crazy world, obviously a really virtual world, in a healthy way, though, not necessarily, going about it and saying, man, I'm just cutting the world off. I think you're actually really becoming more in touch with it. And so gardening was one of those things, but being outdoors in general just, really helped.
Well, and I mean, during that period, especially on a college campus, you felt everything was virtual, and doing something gardening, that's something physical. There's an actual, a seed or a plant or a harvest that comes off that you can touch, you can see. And I think that was huge for a lot of people's mental health, is to find something that was tangible when we were living such a virtual life for so long, that connection. So I think that's huge. And I think that's fantastic. So let's say that somebody has not gotten into it, but they've kind of wanted to. Because like you said, it can be kind of daunting. It can kind of be intimidating to jump into, because there's a lot of knowledge out there. And if you don't have it, it feels like you don't know what to do, don't know where to start. So what advice would you have, or if somebody wants to just get into it, where would you suggest somebody starts to just dip their toes into it?
Yeah, well, I'll share a little bit about my personal experience as a co-founder. Even in that role, I didn't know a lot about gardening whenever I got into this, and so it was really Sydney and a few other of our friends, and we ended up coming together. They were all majoring in natural resources and environmental science. They'd all spent, their entire lives outdoors, in a more rural area where gardening and everything like that was a lot more common. I grew up in, Bloomington Normal, so it's not quite super urban, but it's definitely more towards that way. I didn't know anything. And so the first thing that I had to do whenever I became involved with Grow to Give was learn from the people around me. And that's probably what, I would recommend to anybody, is just find people who are passionate about the same things, to learn about it. And I don't think there's any quicker or better way to learn, because when somebody really enjoys doing something and they want to share it with others, they want to build that community, they have a tendency to take the time to explain things really well and explain why things, are the way they are. And if you'd asked me 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, whatever it is now, what I knew about gardening, I would say, I go to the store and buy the things that come from it. So, I've come a long way, but just become involved with, I guess, people with the same interests. Yeah.
And it's been very clear to me I come from a family that my grandparents had a massive garden. And my dad was a green thumb. He loved gardening. I did not inherit that skill. I have an appreciation for it for sure. But anytime I would see them interact with somebody, or if I go to a farmer's market and things like that, people who are into gardening, who are skilled at gardening, are very open about it. There's not a gatekeeping. There's not these are my secrets kind of thing. It's, I want to share with everybody because this has worked for me. And there's been I see a lot of collaboration. Has that been your experience with the RSO and with the people who you've interacted with as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's certainly a level of collaboration. There's even some competition once you start to get more skilled with it. People love to just say, look at, how big my plant was. And so there's a competitive nature there, which can be fun sometimes. But yeah, collaboration is really what it's all about. I learned very quickly, students leave campus for the summer. And so, as an organization, we had to maintain our garden beds as a few of us, and it's really challenging to keep up on. So having other people around you, not just having to take care of all of it by yourself. Not only is it fun because you have that competitive aspect, I think, a little bit, and obviously there's the fun of being with people who share the same interests with you, and how fun that is. But it's also, it makes things significantly easier. Makes the learning curve feel a lot less sharp.
Speaking of your garden beds, would you share a little bit about how many you have on campus or in the area, not necessarily on campus, and what kind of plants that you've been working with?
Yeah. So we started off by working with facilities and services. We had a vision that we wanted to do this on campus, and so part of that is working with facilities and services. They can be a little bit difficult to work with sometimes, but once you start to get to know people who are involved and make those connections, it actually becomes really easy. And I think there's a lot of supportive people over there about students taking initiatives like this. So that's really where we started. We installed one here near the McKinley Health Center, actually. It's kind of in between here and Allen Hall, closer to the Red Oak Rain Garden. So that's one, and that did phenomenal our first year of growing. We had a zucchini plant that I think produced well beyond what it should have. And so, yeah, that's one of them. The other is over between the architecture annex and the ACES library on South Quad. And so once again, that one, was it did fairly well. We had a mix up with Lowe's where our tomato cages were delivered and then they were returned. And so by the time we got them on there was a little untamed. But we've grown all sorts of things in those beds. We also have another bed at the University YMCA on campus. It's on Wright Street actually, and so they were very generous. We're affiliated with them as a student organization. They have a student board, and so they were very generous. And while our other garden beds are 4 foot by 4 foot plots, this one we actually had the opportunity to do a 4 foot by 8 foot plot. So we've grown everything from different types of squash like zucchini and summer squash to various types of peppers. I think poblanos, jalapenos, things like that. Leafy greens, herbs. I think we've even at one point done okra. That was an interesting one. And then a fun surprise for us was at our red oak rain garden bed where we came back to clean up and prepare for the upcoming growing season. I think a year ago or so from now. And we came back to find corn growing in it. So we're not quite sure how that got there, but we've grown a little bit of everything. It's been great. And then I think one of our beds, we had a very involved student who unfortunately passed away last summer. And so we have been, working with the community in different ways to collect donations and volunteer support. And we plan to turn that into a memorial garden bed with perennial flowers as well as potentially some edible produce as well mixed in. So
that's fantastic. And it's interesting you said that the corn just kind of showed up because I've had that happen in my own garden too, that something will get transplanted by a bird or whatever.
It's probably the squirrels.
Yeah. Or the wildlife and you find something pop up. But there's an excitement to that too when you get a new plant and you find out what it is and it's a good plant and not something that's a weed or something like that's taking on your other stuff. But that's exciting to hear that you're moving into some of those areas. One of the things that's really great about gardening, and if you get started like with Grow to Give, is that there's so many ways you can go with it. You can work on these outdoor plots on campus. You can help with that, but there's also an opportunity to take that into your dorm rooms. Gardening is something you can do year round, whether it be produce or flowers, and so there's a real opportunity to have this be a part as a relaxing activity, something that takes your mind away from schoolwork when you need that little bit of a break. There's really those opportunities. If somebody wanted to look at those kinds of things, or any suggestions you have as far as resources on campus for like how to grow something in your apartment or your dorm?
Yeah, of course. So I'll start by, kind of plugging Grow to Give here. But something that we do throughout the semesters, especially once it starts to get colder, it's not quite growing season and we can't be outside, is we have educational workshops where we, purchase all of the materials and provide them at no cost to our participants. So it sounds like a pitch, but it's really not. It's really a great opportunity to learn about gardening without having to purchase all of the materials yourself, as well as we have one of our faculty advisors, Dr. Jennifer Nelson. She's actually an adjunct instructor, I believe, in the Department of Crop Sciences. And so she has been instrumental in those workshops and coming and spreading knowledge for students. So it's been really great. And I know she has a couple of classes, horticulture classes as well. But if you want to kind of get started or figure out how to do things, classes, workshops on campus, I think there's a couple of other environmentally focused RSOs that do similar things. Maybe they're more geared towards like ornamental gardening as opposed to like fresh produce gardening. But there's plenty of opportunities out there. So
if somebody wanted to get a hold of you or Grow to Give, or wanted to find out a schedule of these workshops and things, is there a way? Do you have a website? Do you have social media? Is there a way to get a hold of you?
Yeah. So we are on Instagram. Our account handle is Grow to Give CU, CU as in Champaign Urbana. And then our website is also growtogivcu.com. So often. You can find all of our events on our website, posted on social media once they get closer to that date. You can also go through there and find the link to sign up for our newsletter. But yeah, I mean, all of our workshops are no cost to our participants as long as they, you have to go online and kind of sign up in advance. But we, recently did a workshop series this past semester that was funded wholly by the Student Sustainability Committee, which, for those who are students and don't know, part of the fees that you pay every single year go towards that fund. So organizations like ours get to make use of that and then actually give it back to the students through not only the materials to participate in these workshops, but then the knowledge that we provide through, not only ourselves, but our faculty advisors. And
off air, before we started, I know you were talking about that, like, you've just graduated, and a lot of your executive board has graduated or moved on and things like that. If somebody wants to get involved with Grow to Give, wants to become a member, wants to become a part of it, is that the same process? Contact the website? Is that the best way to go about it? Or is there an application process? How would a student, if they want to be more involved, actively involved, how would they get connected with you?
Yeah, definitely. So the executive board email is hi@growtogivecu.com. Pretty simple, hopefully easy to remember. And it's Grow to Give with a number 2 in the middle. And so, yeah, just emailing that, reaching out on social media, those are pretty common ways to get involved. As far as, becoming a member, membership is really open to pretty much anybody. And so we have our executive board who help oversee the operations of the organization. And, whatever direction they decide to take it, they may establish committees that members can be a part of. But we're really open to the public. Obviously, we're an RSO, and so students are kind of at the forefront of our minds, but we invite community members, anybody who really has an interest and wants to, help share, I guess, the love and the passion for gardening, as well as teach other people about it. That's really what it's about. So membership is open to anybody. There's no formal process to sign up. Usually it's just by signing up for our email list, follow us on social media, volunteer when there's opportunities, and sign up for our workshops whenever you can and are interested. So
all that contact information will be in our bio. We will list that in the bio of this episode, so you can get the email, you can get the websites, things like that. And so it sounds like you're pretty open to partnership as far as membership. If a unit wants to try and have the conversation about how to start a garden that you can be involved in, or help with funding, those are all things that could be that listeners should reach out to if they're interested in that. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I really appreciate you taking the time today and talking about Grow to Give and things, because it's exciting. I mean, I didn't know there were those plots on campus. I look for them now as I walk by. I walk by the Red Oak Garden often, but I had no idea. So it's good to bring that awareness to these things. And I just want to say thank you for the efforts that Grow to Give are doing, and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
There are a lot of unique opportunities on this campus. Some we know about, some we've heard about or have connections to, and some we don't know as much. And for me today, that was Grow to Give. Did not know the things that they did, but I'm excited to hear that as somebody with a family and background in gardening, it's exciting to hear those things happening on this campus. If you're interested in finding out more, you're interested in being involved, have questions, have comments, please reach out to them. Use the information that's in our bio. Reach out to us here at Healthy Illini. We'd love to put you in contact with them, because there's so many benefits to gardening, just in your personal, but also in the community, the ways that it enhances the things around us, and it advances so many things that we can help with. So I really encourage you to take some time, reach out, contact, and see if it's something that interests you. But thank you for joining us today. You are on a personal journey no matter where you are in it. You are important and you matter. Your health and wellness are important and matter, and we're here to keep you well to excel. So go have a great week, Illini. Let us know how you're doing, and we'll catch you next time on Healthy Illini.